When no one came, the lonely puppy understood for the first time that waiting can hurt. Then a tiny kitten arrived, and without asking anything, she sat beside him and showed that true friendship is not made by noise, but by presence. Sometimes the arrival of just one caring heart can change the whole world. The backyard smelled like fresh grass and new balloons. A small wooden table stood near the fence, covered with a bright cloth that fluttered in the warm air. On top of it sat a little cake shaped like a bone, carefully placed in the center. The puppy sat in front of it, wearing a paper party hat that kept sliding over one ear. He did not understand dates, but he understood waiting. Every few seconds his tail lifted with hope. He looked toward the open gate. A leaf rolled across the ground. His tail slowed again. He leaned forward and sniffed the air, expecting the sound of paws, the quick steps of friends he met on walks, or at least one familiar bark. Nothing came. The puppy licked a bit of frosting that had fallen on the table. It tasted sweet, but his ears stayed low. The bowls around him were full of treats, untouched. Balloons bumped gently into each other, making soft sounds that felt louder because no one else was there. From the house window, a shadow moved. Someone had set this up with care, but now the yard was quiet, too quiet. The puppy hopped down from the chair and padded to the gate. He pressed his nose between the wooden bars. The street outside was empty, no footsteps, no voices, just the hum of a faraway car. He waited. A breeze lifted the small flags tied along the fence. They fluttered like they were waving to someone who never arrived. The puppy sat down, then lay flat, chin on his paws, eyes still fixed on the gate. Every sound made him look up. Every sound turned out to be nothing. Minutes passed. The sun shifted slightly and the hat slipped off his head. It landed beside him. He did not pick it up. Instead, he stood and walked back to the table, climbing onto the chair again. He stared at the cake, then at the empty space around him. His tail wagged once slowly, as if trying to remember how excitement felt. Somewhere near the bushes, a faint rustle broke the silence. The puppy froze. His ears lifted, his head tilted. He did not bark, he just listened. The rustle stopped. Then came a soft sound, almost too small to notice, a light step, then another. Something moved behind the tall grass near the fence, staying hidden, watching. The puppy leaned forward, heart beating faster. This time it felt different. He sat very still, eyes locked on the spot where the grass shifted again. A tiny shape moved closer, low to the ground, careful and slow. The puppy did not know who it was. He only knew that he was no longer completely alone. And just as he took a small step toward the sound, a pair of curious eyes appeared between the leaves. The puppy leaned closer to the bushes, careful not to scare whatever was hiding there. His tail wagged once, unsure, then stopped. The eyes behind the leaves blinked slowly, watching him back. A small gray nose pushed through the grass. Then a tiny kitten stepped into the light. She was much smaller than the puppy, her fur slightly messy, one ear bent at the tip. She did not run. She did not hiss. She simply stood there, frozen, as if she had not planned to come this far. Her paws barely touched the ground, ready to turn back at any second. The puppy sat down. He lowered his head, copying the calm way he had seen older dogs do. His mouth opened just a little, not in a bark, but in a quiet breath. The kitten's whiskers twitched. She took one cautious step forward, then stopped again. Between them lay a strip of grass and silence. A balloon bumped the table behind the puppy, making a soft pop sound. The kitten flinched and jumped back. The puppy stayed still. He did not chase. He only waited, eyes gentle, body loose, as if saying he had all the time in the world. After a moment, the kitten peeked again. She noticed the cake, the bright pink frosting, the bowls of food, the fallen party hat near the puppy's paw, her head tilted, confused by the strange scene. Her nose lifted as she caught the smell of treats carried by the breeze. The puppy slowly nudged the hat toward her with his paw. It rolled clumsily across the grass and stopped halfway. The kitten stared at it, then at him. Another long pause passed. Then, to the puppy's surprise, the kitten stepped forward. Not fast, not brave, just honest. She crossed the small space between them and sniffed the edge of the hat. Her tail flicked once, uncertain. The puppy's tail began to wag again, this time without stopping. He turned and padded back toward the table, then looked over his shoulder. The kitten hesitated, then followed, keeping a careful distance. Step by step, she moved closer to the table, closer to the cake, closer to him. The puppy climbed onto the chair and sat beside the cake. He did not eat. Instead, he looked down at the kitten. She lifted herself onto her back legs, resting her front paws on the table edge, eyes wide with curiosity. Their faces were close now. The puppy gently pushed a small crumb of cake toward her with his nose. The kitten sniffed it. The puppy held his breath. Just as the kitten opened her mouth to taste it, a sudden sound came from the house behind them, a door handle turning, slow and unexpected. Both of them froze at the same time.